Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Purnamamsa Paripradrakacharya Stotra Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadip Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Brinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Welcome everybody to Srimad Bhagavatam reading with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. We are beginning with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 26, Text 13. Since yesterday we skipped.
Now,
You're muted.
yeah, I have a question. Is my audio okay, or is it sounding choppy? Because your audio for me sounds totally choppy, and I wonder whether it's an app problem on my side or something else.
Be a computer issue on my end. I'll get a new microphone. I have another microphone that I'll plug in, and I'll try that.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Tripto Rishta Sudriptascha Kandarpa Krishna Manasaha Navyachashta Vararoham Grihinim Grihametinim. After taking his dinner and having his thirst and hunger satisfied, King Puranjana felt some joy within his heart. Instead of being elevated to a higher consciousness, he became captivated by Cupid and was moved by a desire to find his wife, who kept him satisfied in his household life. Purport. This verse is very significant for those desiring to elevate themselves to a higher level of Krishna consciousness. When a person is initiated by a spiritual master, he changes his habits and does not eat undesirable eatables or engage in the eating of meat, the drinking of liquor, illicit sex, or gambling. Sattvika ahara, foodstuffs in the mode of goodness, are described in the Shastras as wheat, rice, vegetables, fruits, milk, sugar, and milk products. Simple food like rice, dal, chapatis, vegetables, milk, and sugar constitute a balanced diet. But sometimes it is found that an initiated person, in the name of prasad, eats very luxurious foodstuffs. Due to his past sinful life, he becomes attracted by Cupid and eats good food voraciously. It is clearly visible that when a neophyte in Krishna consciousness eats too much, he falls down. Instead of being elevated to pure Krishna consciousness, he becomes attracted by Cupid. The so-called brahmachari becomes agitated by women, and the vanaprastha may again become captivated into having sex with his wife. Or he may begin to search out another wife. Due to some sentiment, he may give up his own wife and come into the association of devotees and a spiritual master. But due to his past sinful life, he cannot stay. Instead of being elevated to Krishna consciousness, he falls down, being attracted by Cupid, and takes to another wife for sex enjoyment. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padamahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Bhaganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Krishna Sadvaitam Savatutam Parishana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Topta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanshako Patarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Pyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right. So, Atripto Rishta Sriptascha Kandarpa Krishna Manasa Navyachashta Vararoham Grihinim Grihamedhini. So, King Puranjana has given up his hunting business and he's returned home and he's refreshed himself. And now he's looking for his queen. And that's described. Kandarpa Krishnamans, attracted by Cupid. Kandarpa. His mind attracted by Cupid. And Vara Aroha Vichashtana. He didn't try for higher consciousness. And instead, he went looking for his wife, Grihamedhini, for sex enjoyment. And Srila Prabhupada comments, particularly in regard to eating. Let's see. Just thinking of one. Yes. But Prabhupada comments on this atyahara, too much eating. First thing is no meat, fish, eggs. But then the transcendentalist is also advised, don't eat too much. Because this eating too much will agitate the senses. Food, which is, of course, there's food in the mode of passion. What is that? Lavanatyushna tikshna rushna vidahinaha rajasasyeshta. Let's see. Where's that?
Chapter 18.
Where? 18. Where? Let's see.
That's 17.
That's what I thought. Tadvamla lavanatyushna tikshna ruksha vidahinaha ahara rajasasyeshta dukkha shokamaya prada. Food which is too sour, too sweet, too salty, too hot, too everything is in the mode of passion, and it brings suffering and misery. You see that people like to have food which is, what's the word, sensational. Not just rice, dal, chapatis, but they want to have all opulent food. But if they go on eating opulent food, then the senses become, the tongue is already very greedy, and all right, whatever you want, we'll supply. And then the senses, all the senses become agitated, and especially the urge for sex becomes prominent. Or if he's eating just too much, and that means the senses are out of control, and he's at risk of being victimized by Cupid. Therefore, our diet should generally be simple. Prabhupada says here, rice, dal, chapati, sabji. A simple diet. That doesn't mean that it has to be tasteless, but generally sattvic ahara means mild, gentle, not everything sensational. That's the first thing. Of course, Prabhupada introduced the Sunday feast, very nice, opulent prasadam. And even the brahmacharis and sannyasis may occasionally take part in such feasts. But if it becomes an everyday affair, then it becomes, the senses go out of control. And one can't even function, or the mind becomes dull, or the mind becomes agitated. Therefore, in Chopati, I know there were so many householder devotees who wanted to feed the brahmacharis. Every day, the brahmacharis were being given a big feast. So finally, they said, all right, on one day, all the householders, they can combine their efforts, and brahmacharis can eat very nicely. And the rest of the days, let them have some relief. it becomes too much. And here Prabhupada mentions that then the brahmacharis become agitated, and the vanaprasthas who've given up sex life think, well, or they don't think, they just become agitated again to have sex with their wife, or since they've given up sex with their wife, they go chasing after someone else, or they want another wife. So Prabhupada says in the name of prasad. So of course we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita so many feasts, so many pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where he's feeding the devotees very nicely. But we should be careful also. On the one side, we don't want to become falsely so austere that we can't maintain. And on the other side, we don't want to just live a life of luxurious eating. Okay, we have two hands here.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me okay?
It seems okay.
Okay, Saraswati Mashi, can you speak first? Hare Krishna.
Pranams to Param Pujya Gurudev and all the Vaishnavas. I may ask two questions. Guru Maharaj, this sentence where they talk about due to some sentiment, he may give up his own wife and come into the association of devotees and a spiritual master, but due to his past sinful life, he cannot stay. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarva dharman paritajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami masucha. So someone might say, well, I thought the whole business about the past sinful life has been taken care of when you surrender. So here it's saying, no, your past sinful life, because of it, you cannot stay in this sangha, sadhu sangha, and with the spiritual master.
Yes. Mokshishami, I'll free you from all sinful reactions, but it's a process. It's a process. Therefore, we'll find later in the purport, Chaktvasa Dharmam Sharanam Bhujam Harer, then Bhajan Apakvota. Sometimes one may take to Krishna consciousness, but if he's Pakva means because he's immature, not experienced, not accomplished, he may fall down again. Pakvota patet kato yadi. He may fall down. It's not that, all right, I shaved my head and I got, maybe I got initiated, I got a new name. Now I'm not affected anymore by any of my past reactions. I'm a liberated soul. Not quite. Not quite. See, we're in the, what's the word? Convalescent stage. Convalescent stage. Someone is sick, now he's cured, but convalescent. He has to be a little careful. You undergo some operation or you recover from some disease, and the doctor says now for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you have to be very careful because otherwise you may fall or you may risk reinfection. You're cured, but you're not quite up to full strength. And so you can fall back into the disease condition. Prabhupada sometimes says that we're in the probationary stage. So we have to be careful. It's not that we're totally free from everything. It's there, but we have to stick to the process to get that results. It's not that I can neglect the orders of the spiritual master. I can neglect all the direction of the Shastra. Now I can do everything because I'm freed from all sinful reactions. No. We're on the path of freedom, and we've been freed from so much, but past impressions are there. Past impressions are there, past, what's the word? Inclinations are there. So we have to be careful. Just like an alcoholic. He goes to Alcoholics Anonymous or something and he gets freed, he stops drinking. But if he, again, associates with his old drinking buddies and thinks, well, let me just shake hands with everyone in the pub. Now he's at risk. He's not so strong that he can do those things. A liberated soul, he could go anywhere. But a former alcoholic, he has to be careful. So Krishna says moksha is yami, but one has to be careful still. Otherwise, why does one take these vows? Why does one take direction from the spiritual master? I can just do anything. If I'm freed from all sinful reactions. But no, we know that within our hearts, we still have these impressions from the past. And some of those impressions may not be very good at all. And we still have some habits that by the strength of Krishna consciousness we're holding in check. But if our Krishna consciousness becomes weak, or if we're start living luxuriously, and those habits may come back. So we need to strictly follow these things to the past sinful life. Past sinful life. So we should always be cognizant of that, always think, not that, where did we come from? Well, we just all, what's the word? Avatars or something, we just come from total background of, even the person who comes from the background of piety has to be careful that he doesn't fall back down into a pattern of pious activities without full dedication to the service of Krishna. And that's to say nothing of those who are affected by passion and ignorance. So care is necessary. Otherwise, why all these books? Atyahara, Prayasas, chapters. No, do whatever you want. You're moksha. You're free from all sinful reactions. No, which we may be. Chaitanya Charitamrita is stated or quoted that it stated that as soon as someone accepts initiation, I accept him to be as good as my own self. So that's there. But now if I think I'm as good as Krishna, I'm free from all sinful reactions. I can do anything. And we're fools. How many of us have seen others fall down? Why did they fall down? If they were liberated, if they took initiation, if they became as good as Krishna qualitatively, why did they fall down? So we have to be always careful. But Maya is very strong. So it shouldn't just be sentiment. Yes, now I've surrendered to Krishna. Now I'm a devotee. Yes, that's good. That's nice sentiment. But now I also have to strictly follow the advice of Shastras, the directions of the spiritual master, because I know that I was coming from such a background. I have to be very careful. Otherwise, Maya will catch me again. Is that okay?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, I have another question, and I don't want to run the risk of sounding impertinent, but I'm having some difficulty in accepting this rejection / punishment that Chota Haridas Thakur received, because he was just following the orders of a senior devotee, I think it was Bhagavan Acharya, to go and beg alms from a great devotee, Madhvi, and that he received the punishment of being rejected, whereas we know that there have been times when devotees have gone and delivered messages to Sachi Mata, and Madhvi Mataji was, I think, even older than Sachi Mataji, but yet that was all right. But here, this poor devotee was just following orders, and the next thing you know, he's being punished. I'm having difficulty in sort of coming to terms with this. Hare Krishna.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes are like that he has different purposes and he deals accordingly. So sometimes he may be very liberal, but sometimes he may be very strict. And here we find that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to emphasize that accepting the renounced order is very serious business. If one is an honest householder, that's all right. Mahaprabhu, Shivananda saying his wife was pregnant, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave an auspicious name for the child. But in renounced life, so he didn't disapprove categorically, oh, you're associating with a woman. No, that's all right. You're a householder. But if you're a sannyasi, then you shouldn't be playing around with women. You shouldn't be, our Devaki Mataji calls it stealing. You're officially associating with a woman for some practical purpose, but you're stealing. Stealing means a little extra chit-chat, a little extra winking of the eyebrows, or some, maybe not that, what's the word, unsubtle, but subtly enjoying. That was very nice. Such a nice devotee. I remember I was with Satsvarup Maharaj one time in Dallas. He was GBC man there. And as we were leaving, we stayed for some days, traveling on. So the wife of the temple president gave us very nice prasadam, all fruits with cream, and it's super nice. And she was so kind and appreciative, and just so nice in giving us this prasadam. And I remarked to Satsvarup Maharaj that, well, she's so nice. And Prabhupada said, Satsvarup Maharaj said, yes, therefore I always avoid her. And in the renounced life, one has to be very strict. So, of course, it's, what's the word? Extreme punishment that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu awarded, only just begging some rice, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu banished him. Not so strict, but his purpose was to underscore this point that in the renounced life, there's no playing around. One has to, if you're going to be a sannyasi, you have to be very strict. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, but he accepted Junior Haridas. Junior Haridas took his own life, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted his devotional service even after. So, but the example had been set. Therefore, it said all the devotees stop thinking of women even in their dreams. They wouldn't dare. It's not a sentimental thing. And to say nothing of the Prakrita Sahajas who think that they'll make progress by worldly experience of what happens in the spiritual world. They concoct something for their sense gratification. To say nothing of that, even just sort of casual association that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to warn us about. So he was exceedingly strict. What's the word? Yeah, just almost shockingly strict. And all the devotees were begging him. He didn't do anything. It's not much. Why? No. Is that all right?
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.
Gokula, Mataji writes, Hare Krishna Maharaj, Hare Krishna devotees. Maharaj, you said being a victim of Cupid. Is Cupid a bad demigod, or rather a demigod of some sort of degradation?
He's not bad. He's performing his prescribed duties, but he may be bad for us. Just like the jailer. He's not bad, but you don't want to go to jail and come under his discipline. He's not a bad fellow. He's just doing his job. But his job is to keep you in captivity and eating bread and water. So, in that way, Cupid's not bad. He has his duty, and yes, but he's not good company for those who want to advance in spiritual life. Okay, let's continue this purport. The fall of the neophyte devotee from the path of Krishna consciousness down to material life is described in Srimad Bhagavatam by Narad Muni. Chaktva swadharmam trananambujam harer bhajan tvotva apakvota patetato yadi yatra kvabhadram abhudamushakim ko varta apto bhajatam swadharmatam. This indicates that although a neophyte devotee may fall down from the path of Krishna consciousness due to his immaturity, his service to Krishna never goes in vain. However, a person who remains steadfast and in his family duty or so-called social or family obligation, but does not take to Krishna consciousness, receives no profit. A big topic, that verse, but we'll continue because it's being quoted in a context. One who comes to Krishna consciousness must be very cautious and refrain from prohibited activities, as defined by Rupa Goswami in his Upadeshamrita. Cautious. Not that we sort of, what's the word, free spirits and just happy and spontaneous and cautious. Just like these days on the roads, so many scooters are there and the roads are hazardous. When you walk on that road, you can't just say, I'm in Vrindavan, I'm under the shelter of Krishna, Haribol. You have to watch very carefully, or one of those scooters could knock you down. It's dangerous, those roads. So one has to know, I'm on this busy road and there are so many scooters. Any one of them could knock me down. I have to be very careful. So that's the material world. Padam, padam, idvi padam. Every step there's danger. You're just minding your own business and a nice girl comes and says, could you help me? I just need, and sure. Has to be very careful. Has to be very careful. And there's so many traps that Maya may set. And Srila Rupa Goswami is warning us about them. In his Upadeshamrita, Atyahara Prayashascha Prajolpo Niyamagra Jalasangascha Lolyam Cha Shadpir Bhaktir Vinashyati. A neophyte devotee should neither eat too much nor collect more money than necessary. Eating too much or collecting too much is called atyahara. For such atyahara, one must endeavor very much. This is called prayas. Superficially, one may show himself to be very much faithful to the rules and regulations, but at the same time, not be fixed in the regulative principles. This is called niyamagraha. By mixing with undesirable persons or janasanga, one becomes tainted with lust and greed and falls down from the path of devotional service. So Rupa Goswami is warning us here. There's some of the traps, atyahara, to eat too much, to collect too much, too many books, too much this, too much that, especially chasing money around and chasing food around. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jivar lalasedye iti utatai, shishnodara parayana Krishna nahipai. A person who's subservient to the tongue and goes here and there, devoted to the genitals and the belly, cannot attain Krishna. Shishnodara parayana. Just as we have Narayana parayana and Krishna parayana. So Shishnodara parayana, dedicated to the satisfying the urges of the tongue, that becomes next. The urges of the belly, that becomes next. The urges of the genitals. And where's the question of attaining Krishna? He falls down. So one has to be satisfied. Especially, this is an instruction given to Raghunath Das Goswami by Chaitanya. Just be satisfied with the food that comes. Vegetables, leaves, fruits. Chant Hare Krishna all the time. One should be very careful. Not happy-go-lucky. Happy-go-lucky. It'll sort of keep his material profile, material game going, and at the same time be Krishna conscious. Even if externally he performs his material activities, he shouldn't be thinking, this is the life. He should be thinking that my business is to satisfy Krishna. And he should be careful that Maya shouldn't catch me. Not that he should be strict. Otherwise, Maya's powerful. And little, what's the word? Leniency with the senses, and they become out of control. One should, as soon as one sees these things, I have to be careful. And keep the association of devotees, avoid the association of the materialist, janasanga. Not be absorbed in excessive activity to keep a happy standard of material enjoyment. Jivasa Tadvijagasa Bhakti. Just what we need to keep things together. And all right, Krishna consciousness movement, there may be nice prasada, maybe something, but not a diet. One Indian lady who was coming to our temple, saw how the brahmacharis were eating. She said, it's like a wedding feast every day. We would die if we ate this way every day. So even when there's nice prasadam, we should always be a little careful that not always eating nicely, not always, on occasion, something. No, we have to be careful. And take sannyas, everybody wants to feed you opulently and feed you to the neck. But if you eat opulently every day, fed to the neck every day, it'll go from the neck downwards and there'll be problems. And one of the dangers of the Hare Krishna movement, it takes sannyas and it's dangerous also. Dangerous also. Brahmachari life may be less hazardous, but it doesn't matter. Brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi, we should all be careful. Brahmamaya antarache.
Like you have said, we should not be like go lucky, go happily, but in our society itself, we see many grihasthas, those are married couples, they are aiming for some deposit, I'll work till I get this much deposit, then I'm free. This mentality is there that I settle myself nicely, then I will.
That's not wrong. For grihastha to accumulate some money is not wrong. Let me find that. Hold on 1 second. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said this is Madhya Lila 1595, speaking about Vasudev Datta, Grahastha haye niho, chahiye sanchai. Sanchoy na koile, kutumba bharana nahi hoy. No, he's a householder. He has to accumulate some money. Sanchoy means accumulation. He has to accumulate some money. Kutumba bharana. Otherwise, how will he maintain his family? Brahmachari, he's actually happy-go-lucky in a good sense, that he doesn't have to think about, how will I maintain my family? How will I pay the rent? How will I? No, doesn't have to worry about it. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's a grahastha hayen. So he has to accumulate some money. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he married and then he went to East Bengal to acquire some capital. Is that there in this place too? Being a married man, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, he went to Eastern Bengal on the banks of the Padma for acquirement of wealth. Being a married man. Married man means that's not happy-go-lucky, that's prudent. We have to accumulate some capital because there'll be expenses. It's like running a business. It's like running a business. You have to have some capital. So for the brahmachari, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was angry with his assistant. Why are you keeping some haritaki for the next day? But for the grihastha, you have to keep something. So what's very good for one person in one order maybe not be good for another. The householders, they should accumulate. That's not happy-go-lucky. Happy-go-lucky is that at the end of the week I get my paycheck, and no, now I can buy this, now I can buy this, now I can buy this, now I can buy this. No. There should be a budget. This much I can spend, this much I have to save. The more he can save, the better. Otherwise, we see grahastas working into their old age. Yeah, they're 65 and still they're working. I have to keep, meet my expenses because they didn't accumulate. No, grahasta should accumulate something. Then, when he wants to retire, all right, this is there. Rupa Goswami also, something for the relatives. That's not happy-go-lucky. That's the opposite. No, I can't spend for this, that, and the other thing. I have to accumulate some fund for the household life. That's responsible.
Maharaj, we also hear about Brahmana. Sometimes they acquire something throughout the day, but at the end of the day, they give up,
That's also
whatever
there.
is not required.
But that means his establishment is very modest. In the actual Brahminical life, what are his needs? He has a little thatched hut, he has a cow, he has, at the end of the day, he can give everything away, whatever. Because his needs are so simple. That's real Brahminical life. But even the householders, Brahminical householders, they have to keep something. They have to keep something. They can't pretend to live like brahmacharis. Same person who's living as a brahmachari, very happily living with nothing. Now he marries the next day, I have to accumulate some money. Therefore, householder life is entangling in that way. I have to see the money, I have to see to the wife needs this, wife needs that, children need this, and one becomes obliged for all of these things. But you can't escape it. You can't say, no, I'll marry, but I won't do all of those things that married people do. I'll just enjoy like a brahmachari. Happy-go-lucky, no responsibility. No, now you're married, you have to do all those things. You have to provide the wife with all the necessities, keep her happy. There has to be a place to live, there have to be sufficient funds. Therefore, householder life is burdensome. Why would brahmachari, why should he work? Why should he have a boss? Why should he start a business? And just chant Hare Krishna and be happy. The householder has to think, now how will I get some money? And of course, tendencies to become too much absorbed. Where's money? Where's money? Where's money? And he's money pariyan, always looking for money. And where's the Krishna consciousness? But he can't say, no, I'll just forget about money. But if he's advanced in Krishna consciousness, then he'll think, I'll just depend on Krishna. Krishna will say, maybe he'll even spend most of his time preaching. But he's conscious that these duties are there. If I accepted householder life, some concession for sense gratification, then I have to perform the duties of householder life. Okay. Therefore, householder life is a burden. I get married for enjoyment. And what is my enjoyment? I have to get money. I have to buy bangles for the wife. I have to provide sufficient sari, sufficient sex, sufficient house. She wants children. Children have to go to school. Children, there's the doctor bills and this and that. So much of a burden. But that's what it is. If we want to increase our material enjoyment, then we'll increase the burden also. Therefore, simpler just to forget it. But you can't get married and then forget it. Now, if you've married, you have to accept the responsibility. All right, shall we have some kirtan?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnuvad Paramahansa Paripurajaka Ashto Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vashali Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamana Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Go Premanande.
Hari Bol.
His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Premanande.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Krishna.
Why don't you stay a few extra minutes, Krishna Kantiya? We'll catch up.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Or I'll just call you separately. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.